Dear students, welcome to the MOOC on India's foreign policy in a globalizing world. In this lesson, we are going to learn about India and the nuclear club, factors determining India's nuclear program. Main objectives of this lesson are to know about India's stance on global disarmament, to learn about factors determining India's nuclear program, to understand India's stand on NPT, CTBT and nuclear weapon free zone. We begin with the first part of the lesson, in which we will discuss about how China is a factor in determining India's nuclear program. India's nuclear program is advancing rapidly thanks to the efforts and support of scientists, nuclear experts and political leaders involved in policy making decisions. It took some time for India to move away from its Nehruvian era idealism, which aimed to promote nuclear disarmament for world peace. Alternatively, from a realistic perspective, India has refrained from signing both the international treaties aiming at limiting nuclear proliferation and banning nuclear tests, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Refusing to be a member of the NPT, India argued that the treaty divides the world sharply into two categories of states, nuclear haves and nuclear have-nots. While the former can manufacture and indeed augment their nuclear devices, the latter category was prohibited from doing so. India argued that it was discriminatory in nature and it refused to sign the treaty, citing national security concerns and interests. As for the CTBT, India was against the intrusive nature of the verification regime being developed to monitor compliance of test bans, especially the use of national technical means such as the use of satellites for verification. India seeks a CTBT that will eliminate all nuclear weapons within a time frame and a call to ban all types of nuclear tests. As mentioned earlier, there are several reasons for India opting to go nuclear, with the emergence and rise of China's nuclear capability being one of them. We can discuss the main reasons at this point. First, during the establishment of the United Nations, India, being a British colony at the time, was forced to rely upon the British government, which opposed India's national aspirations. As a result, China obtained a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council, while India could not. Second, the demonstration of the large-scale destruction the use of nuclear weapons were capable of inflicting. Third, the partition of India into the states of India and Pakistan. Fourth, the fragile relationship shared between India and Pakistan, as well as India's aspirations to rise to great power status, take credit for India's advancement of its nuclear program. Fifth, the attention paid by the United States to India's rise as a peaceful nuclear capability developing state encouraged India to do more to advance itself and make its weight count in the international arena. China was a major consideration for India to develop its nuclear capability, as it recognized the potential threat pursued from China, which had attained nuclear capability in 1964. Finally, India realized its pressing need to rely on nuclear capability, as it was situated between Pakistan and China, which shared an all-weather friendship with each other and had confronting relationship with India. Let us discuss about China as a factor. The Chinese factor weighs more heavily than Pakistan in India's nuclear policy. The Sino-Indian War of 1962 made India and China adversaries. For Indian strategic thinkers, the nuclear test conducted by China in 1964 added to the atmosphere of distrust. Chinese alleged transfer of nuclear weapons and designs to Pakistan, which has brought about a different dimension to the security of South Asia. Though not a part of South Asia, China is a force to reckon with. An arrangement of South Asia without this is unrealistic, especially considering China has increased its nuclear weapons and missile capabilities over the years. Since India and China had fought in 1962, the nuclear threat from China looms large, with a possibility of India being blackmailed in future. This was further buttressed by the fact that China sent a ceasefire ultimatum to India during the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965. In 1971 also, China declared that it would firmly support the Pakistani government in safeguarding its sovereignty and national independence. China's advocacy of a nuclear weapon-free zone proposal in South Asia, far from creating an atmosphere of security, generated further suspicion for the Indian foreign policy decision makers. It was felt that China intended the nuclear weapon-free zone to cover the territories of its potential adversaries. For Pakistan, China's involvement in South Asia is a long-term counterweight to India. On 2nd March 1963, China and Pakistan entered into an agreement. The agreement covered the 300-mile frontier between China's Xinjiang province and the Pakistan-administered Kashmir claimed by India. India questioned the agreement on the ground that China had no right to have a frontier treaty with a country with which it did not possess a common boundary. The relationship between China and Pakistan caused a sense of uneasiness in India. In 1965, though China did not involve itself in the war between India and Pakistan, it supplied Pakistan arms worth $28 million that included T-55 tanks, the Chinese variant of MiG-19 fighters. In July 1966, both countries further signed an agreement according to which China agreed to supply arms worth $120 million, which included 100 T-59 tanks, 80 F-6s and 10 IL-38 bombs. China also agreed to equip 3 infantry divisions and helped establish an ammunition factory near Dhaka, which is now the capital of Bangladesh. It also transferred nuclear weapon designs to Pakistan. In the early 1980s, Pakistan obtained enriched uranium from China for 1 or 2 bombs. There were reports that China had helped Pakistan in developing the capacity to enrich uranium for weapon use. Later in 1989, China designed a nuclear system for the Pakistani reactor PARR-2, which uses enriched uranium, and also supplied heavy water to the KANUPP reactor. It was reported that Pakistan, with the help of China, conducted nuclear tests in 1998. I hope you understood about how China is a factor in determining India's nuclear program. We will discuss about India's concern over Pakistan's nuclear program and India and NPT in the next video. Thank you.